Good afternoon, everyone. It's Matthew back with the My Favorite LJN tournament. Now, as I was going through some of my winnings, I didn't exactly count them all, but it does look like we have north of probably 60 winners from the first round of this competition. Now, as we know, with all the original LJN figures plus all the customs, initially I thought, talking about 5, 6, 7 rounds was probably going to be a little bit, a little bit massive. But when you start factoring in that there were probably 60 plus victors from round one, and you could cut that in half each time, you're definitely going to end up with somewhere around six different rounds of this competition. For me now, someone who thoroughly enjoys doing these videos and just to kind of talking about the figures, of course allowing my viewers the opportunity to see of these beautiful works of art. I'm definitely glad to continue for as long as I have any. Without further ado, though, we will kick into the next competition of the round 2 battle. So this one is kind of a shock for me. Jake Roberts, overall, again, just like most of the LJNs, not a bad figure. So this one went up against Jim Duggan in the first round. I was kicking myself before I made this selection, and I was definitely kicking myself afterwards. Jim Duggan was a fantastic figure with a perfect accessory. The issue was Jake Roberts had a much better pose, and that's what it all boiled down to. I don't have the Jake Roberts Snake Damien, unfortunately. Again, with a lot of the accessories, at some point, I'm sure I will go out and acquire them. If not the original, at least custom accessories to drape around the figures, either hats, the snake, etc. So Jake Roberts is a very tiny figure, not crazy slim, but not like a Jimmy Snuka slim, but relatively thin. As far as the snakes on the pants, the design, not a bad figure. Again, his pose, his arms are out, not quite Big John Studd-esque, but I mean, it is a decent fighting pose where you would have a good body slam pose. With the open hands, he does more of a slap than an actual punch. Again, imagination, you got to pretend what you're doing there. But even with the arms out the way that they are, he again, he has a decent but not great body slam pose. I'll use the Boss Man figure. So again, good, not great. Definitely better than a lot of the other figures that we've dismissed for the round already. And this one actually has some color loss to the figure, so not mint condition. Maybe at some point I'll buy a new one just to have a better display piece. Excessively small, as I mentioned, when you compare him to the Big Boss Man. Now, bringing up the Big Boss Man right off the bat, I mean, I'm pretty sure, everyone that's watching this back home are just thinking this out. This just isn't fair. I mean, there's just absolutely no way. I mean, Big Boss Man is about as a perfect a figure as you can imagine from LJN. Again, this figure right here was a Random Treasures mold. Again, to try and find a Big Boss Man in this quality, you're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on eBay, which I refuse to do. Maybe at some point in life I will go and purchase this original version, but right now it's not exactly a top priority for me. Nightstick, fantastic accessory, and for a Big Boss Man figure that eliminated black-suited Andre the Giant in the first round, when you compare the two figures, I mean, there's not even, you can't even call it a landslide. I mean, Jake Roberts just absolutely abolished in this round. Again, just look at some of the artwork from XOX Customs. That is a perfect representation of the original figure and of Big Boss Man himself. Absolutely love this figure. I really hope it goes, round 4, round 5. Again, I think we're not going to end at no 4 rounds. I think it's going to go 5, 6, 7 rounds easy because of the sheer quantity of figures I have for competition, and I do think that this one actually will go towards the end. Will he win it? I think this one, as much as any other figure I've discussed, has a legitimate chance. So Big Boss Man does defeat Jake Roberts, and he will move to round. What is this? Round 3. So update my little notes here. Boss Man defeats Roberts. Awesome. Now these are 2 great figures from Wrestlingwriter. First one is the custom Ravishing Rick Rude. Now this figure is exactly the figure that LJN should have made. You know, it's molded after Paul Orndorff. You know, great body type. You know, this one I think would fit Rick Rude a whole lot better. Pants are just absolutely fantastic. Not quite the Heart Foundation pink. A little bit darker in certain spots. A little bit shiny. It looks like it kind of has glitter or something. I don't know necessarily if that's what that is, but just a beautiful figure. And that is the Rick Rude face. Fantastic representation. Love the championship belts. This is a pristine figure. I don't know if I want to say that it's, you know, one of my favorite customs, but I mean, you just can't take away from this figure, and it's just absolutely incredible. Now, this had a strong chance of moving forward to round 3. Had he gone against someone else, he would have been a legitimate contender. Now, he is going against the Ultimate Warrior. So, looks again, I think I mentioned it in round 1. At first, based on the hairdo, I thought maybe they had taken a mold of Andre the Giant, but the body type and the hand positioning, to me, that's definitely Hulk Hogan. Now, they did make alterations to the figure, of course. I mean, when you look at the detail of the boots, you know, that's not just flat. You know, that's actually coming off the boots, and that's just absolutely beautiful. So this Ultimate Warrior custom did defeat the original in round 1. I was very sad to see the original go, because I actually am one of those people who found the first Ultimate Warrior figure to be fantastic. You know, I like the colors and everything. But this is 100% the Ultimate Warrior. Just absolutely fantastic pose. And because of the Hogan pose, I think that this might be one that ends up in the last round. Again, just like any other figure I've talked about, without actually, you know, talking about them at the time that I make the video, I really don't know who's moving forward, and I think that's what makes this video, you know, this competition in general, really fun. Is, you know, I don't know the answer, and to be honest, I don't want to know the answer, not until it's actually filmed, and that way everything is genuine and it's not basically pre-recorded or predetermined. 2 phenomenal figures. You know, this is one of those battles that I really don't want to choose, because I love them both. They're both fantastic. Alas, we always have to go with at least one figure, and as per custom, I don't like to spend too much time, you know, going back and forth. You know, I know the viewers want to see a winner as quickly as possible. Love them both, but I think it's pretty obvious. Pose alone makes Ultimate Warrior the much better figure. Ultimate Warrior is going on to round 3, and if it ends up being Boss Man and Warrior next round, I don't know how I'm going to choose. I'm hoping that maybe Boss Man faces a winner from a previous round, and Warrior gets to take on the next victor, because that's something I'm going to watch if that happens. 2 fantastic pieces. They both deserve to go a whole lot further than 3 rounds. So we'll see what happens. The next battle, this one is actually going to be a tougher choice than you might suspect. So we do have a Warlord for LJN figure, and of course Random Treasures exclusive Barbarian. Now again, both figures were made by Random Treasures, and the artwork is just perfection. Now, even though this is a Random Treasures molded figure, again, it is based on the original LJN and a perfect representation of the original figure. Very simple, black trunks and boots, but the face paint, absolutely gorgeous. And I kind of like the dark hair on one side and light brown on the other. That's pretty nifty. This is a fantastic figure, and the thing with him, with the Warlord and Barbarian, they have very similar poses. Not quite identical, but it's close enough. And of course, the face paint wise, Powers of Pain, teammates, of course they're gonna have similar looks, whether in pants and in color scheme, facial paint if they wear it. So there are a few, I don't want to call them accessories, but a few additional things to notice on Barbarian, such as the little bicep bands that he wears. They both have the little wristbands. They both have relatively decent beards, not quite identical, but a good amount. I really like the mohawk he's got going here. So one of the things that does give Barbarian a leg up, I would say, is pants. Now, is pants or trunks really that important to the point where it's going to make him a victor? Not necessarily. But I do like the wording Barbarian on his pants. Or they do have, Powers of Pain. So that's pretty impressive. I really like that. Now, other than most figures, this, which is pretty flesh colored, this Barbarian is actually a little bit darker than some of the other figures. Now, when we actually use these, based off of my favorite pose, Warlord, not the perfect, but I mean it's about as close than you're gonna get for a lot of the figures as far as body slam pose. Barbarian, similar, and he might even have just a little bit better pose just by a hair. Again, both really good positions. But Warlord, his hands are up a little bit, not quite Macho Man height level, but I mean, I think the hands being a little bit lower than they are definitely makes it improve, tenfold. And of course, Barbarian, he's got his hands to me at the perfect level. Two phenomenal pieces. I love them both. And if I am going to push one forward, originality really matters. And having an original LJN figure, go further in the competition. And again, this is a Random Treasures, made, but again, I still consider a lot of the original LJNs that are made by Random Treasures to be an original figure. I don't separate them. Now, when you start getting into figures that weren't made by LJN, then I start calling them, custom Random Treasures exclusives. Otherwise, anything made by Random Treasures, I still call original. Beautiful piece. It hurts me to do this, but I am moving the Barbarian forward. I think just some of the additional components of his look essentially did it for me. And again, he does have just a pinch better fighting pose than the Warlord. I say this repeatedly, and it's true every time. There really is not a wrong answer. You could have pushed forward either figure. They're both amazing. So just to take these notes. So we've got Custom Warrior defeats Custom Rude, and Barbarian Custom defeats Warlord. Actually, I'm not going to call it a custom because it's, again, I don't really view it as a custom per se. Alright, so the next competitors. So I've been calling this figure Luke again, when I purchased these figures from Random Treasures, I don't know, I got like 5 or 6 figures all at one time. Both Bushwhackers, both Legion of Doom. I think King Haku was part of that order. I want to say Barbarian, maybe Mr. Perfect. I don't really remember, but I think there was a 6th figure that I had ordered as well. So they all came simultaneously, and I ordered a bunch of championship belts as well. I paid close to $1,000 for all the figures. To me, it was money well spent. I mean, I absolutely love these pieces. So, Luke and Butch, they had very similar looks. Just like the British Bulldogs. I mean, pretty much identical, except they mirror each other. Again, I took these out of the package before actually studying which figure was which. I'm thinking that this figure was Luke. It could be Butch, but I'm gonna call him Luke for now. And this figure basically won over the counterpart simply because of the facial expression. The great pose, because of the simple fact that I do remember the Bushwhackers kind of, coming into the ring doing the little the little dance or so that they do when they come in. I'm not going to do it myself. I'll look ridiculous. But so, I mean, this pose to me, it obviously makes sense. But, again, play-wise, if you're a kid trying to use this as an actual wrestler, you maybe throw a punch or two. Again, you got kind of like this, I don't know, half body slam. One thing you could do is kind of like a back break or something based on the height. But, I mean, again, you could probably pull the arm out, do a clothesline or something. But, I mean, overall, as far as playability, not the best. But these figures are generally, because of the price of these XOX Customs, Random Treasure figures, they're mostly purchased by adult collectors who want to display them. I mean, they're beautiful pieces, and I could think of very few people that would actually spend the type of money on these type of figures to give to their kids for play. I mean, to me, they would just be destroying pure artistry, and the coloring the camo pants are just absolutely amazing. I absolutely love this figure, and again, I mentioned this in round 1 video. I got the I think bronze plated tag team belt. Of course, most of the LJNs have the silver plated, which I don't think Bushwhackers were ever champions, at least not in the WWF. So I kind of wanted to have some kind of belts because I try to belt everybody, but I didn't want them to really. I wanted them to stand out a little bit different from the other actual legitimate tag team champions. So this one is going against another Wrestlingwriter purchase. So this Mr. Perfect did defeat the Random Treasures Mr. Perfect in the first round. And that was a tough one. The Random Treasures blue singlet Perfect was, for no other word to describe it, perfect. But the problem is, this was another fantastic piece that just could not be bypassed. So, the Mr. P on the boots, the beautiful orange singlet with black backing. I mean, the face is an absolute perfect representation of Curt Hennig. I love the pose. Again, absolutely fantastic body slam pose. And I think that right there alone was enough to push this figure forward into the next round when he did go up against the Random Treasures version. The Random Treasures blue and black. Mr. Perfect kind of comes with the little towel that Mr. Perfect was accustomed to bringing with him to the ringside, especially whenever he was managed or in the corner of Ric Flair. But this piece right here, I absolutely love this one. I mean, I bought so much from Wrestlingwriter on eBay, and his customs, they're just perfect artistic representations, and the designs and the molding it's just fantastic. I don't know if I want to put this on my top 5, top 10 list of all the figures I bought from him because of the sheer quantity and how much I love each figure. But the fact that this figure has made it to round 2, and based on this battle, now moving to round 3, he definitely has the potential to win the entire competition. Absolutely love this one. I love the Random Treasures Luke. Unfortunately, he is going home after just 2 rounds. So, Custom Perfect defeats Luke. Alright, and the last battle for this video was a surprise winner in round 1. Bad News Brown. So just like the not the Bushwhackers, the British Bulldogs, arms straight up in the air like that, I hate it. Now, good overall figure. And of course, he's got the arm out here, which, you know, you still could throw a good punch. And, you know, again, you kind of got like this little half body slam pose. You got to kind of pretend to go over the board. Now, the British Bulldogs, they do have this one-arm body slam. And as you can see with Bad News Brown, when he does go right arm under, you know, that one-arm body slam does look really good. Actually, it looks pretty fantastic, you know, from that angle. So, Bad News Brown defeated Razor Ramon back in round 1. Now, Razor Ramon probably would have been a landslide, but as I mentioned, the hair on his chest was more like somebody, you know, just rubbed some charcoal or something on their fingers and then kind of rubbed it on the figure and called it a day. So, I mean, that one little blemish to the figure kind of ruined the overall, you know, figure for me, even though it was, you know, great color and everything else was just fantastic. So, Bad News Brown, another XOX exclusive, is taking on King Haku. The first Haku was the Islander version that I purchased, and I decided to purchase both the King Haku as well later on when I saw it in the XOX Customs store. They're on Etsy. So, with both arms up compared to Bad News Brown, one arm up, neither figure really is that influential in my eyes. Again, display great pieces. We're not just talking display, you know, we're talking about, you know, as much as appearance, we're talking playability. And if King Haku's arms just came down just a shade, just, you know, if that was the figure right there, you know, that would be a whole lot better. Or if his arms were like this. But, you know, to me, this is almost as bad as a Macho Man pose. I mean, other than, you know, kind of like the little Sting power slam type of deal, which I think, you know, the figures like Ken Patera, Macho Man, I mean, their pose with the arms in would probably be a little bit better for representation of a power slam. King Haku does come with this amazing accessory. Unlike my Harley Race, this accessory actually fits beautifully to the head. The Harley Race, the one downfall about the crown for his accessory is that it's resin, so it doesn't really stick to the head at all. But this one is a perfect mold. Fits beautifully on top of the head. You don't really have to sit there and worry about it falling off necessarily. So, great figure overall. I really love the custom belt I put on it. I mean, I kind of use these multicolored belts. The blue ones, for example, yellow on some of the figures. Purple, I think, I got on the Warrior figure. Those are kind of like Intercontinental Champion belts. And, of course, the brown ones, I use that as championship belts or tag team championship belts. And the black ones that I put on Hogan, World Wrestling Federation Championship belts. So, we do have to pick one winner. Both really good pieces. Neither one has great wrestling poses, but we do have to pick one. King Haku kind of was a landslide when he was squaring off against his Hawaiian or I don't know, I guess we could call it Hawaiian version of his pants. And of course, Bad News Brown defeated Razor Ramon, which was pretty significant in its own right. Haku King or Haku Islander. I chose the King the first time around, and I'm going to choose the King the second time around to defeat Bad News Brown. King Haku is moving to round 3. Alright guys, so that will close this video. If you are interested in the next round, let's see what we got coming up here. Alright, so we're having Animal from Legion of Doom taking on Kiri Von Erich, or in my eyes, simply the Texas Tornado. Cactus Jack is going to take on the Custom Sergeant Slaughter. Bruiser Brody takes on Abdullah the Butcher. Jimmy Garvin is going to take on the Great Muta. And Ric Flair is going to end up taking on the British Bulldog, the Custom British Bulldog. Now, I do have a Blue Earthquake left over. So we could either make it a 3-man race, essentially, in that last battle. Or I could throw in another option, maybe a Hasbro Sergeant Slaughter version. Because this is LJN, I really don't want a Hasbro figure to win. Even though, again, I think if that one entered the competition as a legitimate LJN or LJN style, that would probably win the whole thing. I mean, that was just a perfect figure. I just absolutely love it. Maybe not the best pose, but, I mean, color and detail of the Hasbro Sergeant Slaughter are just amazing. So, when I come up with the next video, I'm either going to do the 3-man comp, the very last battle, or throw in the Sergeant Slaughter just to have Earthquake square off against someone. But again, because of how I feel about having Hasbro win an LJN tournament, I think it's pretty obvious what's going to happen regardless. So we'll see what happens with that. And I'm going to shut down for now, and I will be back shortly with the next video. Alright guys, good night for now. Talk to you soon.